Hello and welcome back to Dawn Chorus Writes, a Miraculous Ladybug fanfiction and audiofiction. This is the Miraculous fairy tale, Secrets Under the Moon, and I hope you're enjoying it so far. All the other links to the other chapters are down below. This is chapter 9. Massive shout out and thank you to Architaza for her beautiful commissioned artwork in the thumbnail. Go and send her loads of love. Send me loads of love by smashing that like button. Comment down below what you think of this chapter and what will happen next, and make sure you subscribe, because if you got to chapter 9, what are you waiting for? And I hope you enjoy. Chapter 9. A pounding noise hammered off the inside of his head, filtering through his dream to a point he had no choice but to wake up. Peeling one eye open, the thin slither of morning light broke through the curtain and highlighted Plagg from behind. "What on earth?" Cat grumbled and tried to pull the covers back over his head, but his little black floating friend was stronger than he expected. "Adrian! Cat! You need to..." Plagg yanked at the covers with frustration in his voice. "What time is it?" "Just gone 9 a.m, but you need... Wake me later. I didn't get into bed until 5 a.m. Cat attempted to swat his friend away from his head. After resisting visiting Marinette last night, Cat had felt a restlessness he hadn't experienced before, a surge to roam the streets. Unable to cope with the idea of being contained in this prison with endless reminders of what-ifs. If he was honest with himself, he had been looking for the Howlers, sure they would be up to something they shouldn't be, and an excuse to vent his anger at people who deserved it. He hadn't been disappointed, but now he felt the effects of the fight in every ache of his muscles and the bruises hidden by the fur. "Yeah, I heard, but you can't, you need to..." Plagg dived out of the way of the claw and made straight for Cat's ear. "It's Felix! He's here!" Cat bolted upright, taking his friend by surprise. "What? Why? You could have said something sooner." "If only you let me finish, then maybe I will," Plagg snarled back. "Where is he?" Cat threw back the rest of the covers and strode towards the door. Plagg zoomed in front of his face, holding out his tiny paws. "Wait! You can't just storm!" Cat threw his friend a warning look to move aside. "Watch me, Plagg. After the games he's been playing with Marinette, I like how he never mentioned his daily visits to the bakery. But you can't charge in there and challenge him. Not when he's capable of..." Plagg gestured to the room, to himself, and then on Cat. "Adrian, or Cat, whatever you decide to call yourself," Felix's voice boomed in the hallway. Seeing the warning look on Plagg's face, Adrian took a deep breath and heeded the warning, forcing to play nice with his captor. It didn't sit right with him, and yet he knew his brother, and you caught more with honey than you did with vinegar with this egomaniac. Cat smoothed down his clothes and flung the door to his study open. "Felix, what do I owe for the pleasure of your visit?" Felix rolled his eyes, making Cat's stirring resentment bubble to the surface. "You can lose the act, Adrian. I just came to check on how I'm behaving, how you are winning, and there isn't much time left, that soon you'll have a full-blown beast instead of a brother. What will you do with me then, Felix?" "I wanted to check, to ask if you've been to see Marinette. After all this time, the whole speech, she loves you, that you don't need this face to win her heart. You didn't even try. When it came down to it, you didn't love her enough to trust her." Oh, how much Cat wanted to rip away the smirk that was forming on his brother's face, noticing for the first time how much he looked more like Adrian than his usual style. No, he wasn't tricking her, had he? "I could ask you the same thing. What's with the new look of yours?" Cat sneered. He didn't want to give too much away, hoping, trusting that Marinette wouldn't have discussed their recent meetings, date, with Felix. Why do you ask? There has been an increased spotting of you. Rumors of a creature at night. A few near the bakery. What, did your business associates tell you that? Does father know his business is caught up with them? Yes, I heard you were caught in a fight with a few of the howlers the other night. Well, he can't have heard about last night's chance encounter yet. Is that how you've been spending the past year? Not trusting in your love to break the spell? But what? Look into my activities and hope to, what? Force me? Blackmail me? What else do you think you know, Adrian? Felix let out a chilling laugh which shot through Cat, causing him to shudder in rage. That won't work, simply because you would have to expose yourself, but you are too terrified to. I'm not scared of you, Felix. Cat took a step closer, his voice raising in volume. Felix raised his eyebrows in a challenge but kept his voice low and in control. You should be, brother. I can do a lot more to you. Cat threw out his arms. Like what? What more can you do to me that you haven't done already? Marinette. Don't you dare touch her. Isn't it bad enough that you visit her? Dressed like that? Like me? Yes, we are forming a special bond, the two of us. I believe we might have a date soon. A date? You think you will compete against the love we have? Had, you meant. Or have you finally approached her? Exposed this hideous image? She's not a toy to play with, Felix. If in fact you do love her as you claim to, then stop all this and think about what impact it's having on her. I do love her, longer than you, and she will love me. I will be the one who will look after her, give her what she needs. And what do you think she needs? You obsessed over her, forcing her to see you in the false image when she can't even remember. Cat's voice trailed off at the thought occurred to him. What if she was remembering? What if she was seeing images of... His eyes fell back on Felix, who had styled his hair to sit like Adrian's instead of the usual sleek back look. At his clothes? His clothes? No. She wouldn't, couldn't. But what if she saw him, thought of him? It took every inch of his willpower not to pounce on the sinister creature standing in front of him. To play with her heart and mind like that? That snake. That's the thing. I don't need her to remember. She likes me plenty as I am. Even agreed to go to the gala with me as my date this weekend. I will introduce her and get an end of date kiss. The idea of his lips going anywhere near Marinette's was too much to bear. Within 2 strides, Cat stood in front of Felix and grabbed hold of his brother by the collar of his shirt, slamming his back against the wall, causing the covered pictures to shake. A deep snarl seeped out of Cat's chest, glaring into the face he used to know so well. I'm warning you. Oh, wow. Someone is giving into his more animal side. Is the beast starting to take over? Feel the need to run on all 4s yet? Felix sounded delighted at the news. It won't be long now. Time is running out, and then I won't have to worry about you or competing for her attention. She'll be all mine. Cat snarled with a wrath that scared him. What was he becoming? And his brother was winning? He couldn't let this beast control him. He was Adrian, he reminded himself. He had to remain strong for Marinette, to protect her from the true monster in the room. His grip loosened around the fabric, dropping the figure in front of him to the floor. Leave now. Cat turned his back on Felix, who quickly brushed himself down. I'll pop around again soon, brother. Felix called after him, but this time Adrian ignored him and stormed back into his study, slamming the door shut behind him as an image of Marinette's scared face flashing through his mind before running off. Was there still hope? With various samples of photos nestled into an envelope tucked in her bag, and a box of the remainder passion fruit macaroons gripped tight in her hands, Marinette ambled up the street towards the foreboding house. Dusk was descending around her and made the already strange sensation of wanting to turn back shift to dread, and this time she didn't have Kitty to cling on to, encouraging her forwards. What was she doing? Why was she here? It's not like he can tell you the answers. She might as well turn back now and forget about all this. A voice deep inside repeated her own fears against her. But she had to move forward. It was the spell, wasn't it? She felt herself rolling back her eyes, thinking it was magic, like it was normal to do so. Deep breath. I can do this. On the other side is Kitty, who probably hates you for running away from him, especially when he tried to. No, it's not like she has those kinds of feelings for him. She just wants answers. This is for answers, and definitely not because you miss him or want to be near him. Another image of Felix popped into her mind. This time his blonde hair was even more messy. A soft, adorable smile across his lips as they lay on the sofa together, wrapped in his arms, and those green eyes boring into her like she could read her thoughts as he leant closer. A hot blush formed across her cheeks. There was no way she could have a moment like that with Felix. The idea of kissing him? Before she knew what was happening, she found herself on the front steps of the building with the doors opening before her. She made it through and hadn't realized, but the heat and the color still flushed across her face. Hello? She tilted her head from side to side. Did the doors open by themselves?
Marinette? Is that you? It's Dazzy!
This time it was a flying pink creature coming out from behind the doors.
Sorry, I know I'm not meant to, but Adrian, Sir, Cat, said not to say hello, but when I saw you were just standing there...
Forgive me, but do we... Marinette clutched tighter to the box in her hand, pulling them closer to her chest as if they would protect her.
Oh, yeah, memories and, well, this.
The pink creature gestured to herself, but there was still a small smile across her face.
I'm Dazzy. I'm one of the maids. Well, I was yours. Well, not really a maid. Friends, really.
Dazzy flew a little closer and dropped her voice.
We were transforming this place together?
Wait. Marinette held out her hand. You can tell me things? But I thought...
Oh, I don't know. What have I said?
Dazzy's eyes became wider, but her skin didn't really move on her forehead. Wow, maybe you could answer some of my questions, but why can you if others can't? Marinette took a step closer to her. What else can you tell me?
Wait here.
Dazzy zoomed left, then right.
I don't know where everyone else is, and I don't know what I'm allowed to tell you, but do you want to have a cup of tea and we can chat, like old times? I've missed our chats.
Dazzy flew off towards the kitchen, where Plagg had shown her the other night. Marinette closed the doors behind her and was about to follow the friendly pink creature when her eyes landed on the doors to Kitty's study, room. Adrian. That was what Dazzy had called him. Adrian. It sounded right. It felt right. Like the mere thought of his name caused a surge of excitement inside of her.
Marinette!
A hushed voice called out. She turned her attention back towards where her new friend was waiting, ignoring the pull behind the other door, longing to stare into those green eyes once more. No, this was her chance for answers, somehow. She pushed open the door to the kitchen, remembering Plagg halfway through it. There were still aspects to all this she didn't think she would ever understand.
Is it still cherry and cinnamon flavor is your favorite? The little pink creature floated up to the cupboard and took out a metal tin that had a few dents on the side and a raised impression she couldn't make out. Yes, thank you. Good. Oh, would you mind? Daisy gestured to the kettle on the side and then to the Belfast sink that was situated perfectly under the window. Of course, sorry, I never thought. Marinette grabbed the retro cream kettle and stood looking out of the window and noticed a slice of a greenhouse to one side. Angling herself on her tippy toes, she tried to get a better angle. Is that a greenhouse attached to the house? You mean the orangery? Yeah, it's stunning in there. We aren't really meant to go inside. Adrian won't allow it for the past year. He just stands there alone, staring at the red roses. Daisy floated next to her head, angling herself in the same way. That is his name, isn't it? Kitty's name is Adrian. Kitty? You mean Sir, or Cat. He sometimes refers to himself. Strange if you ask me. Why? Didn't you know? No, I think he tried. I don't know. I thought he couldn't. Well, he said Cat, and it's a long story, but yeah, Kitty. But Adrian? She had no idea why a small chuckle burst out of her mouth, but it felt good. That is how he could get a red rose. He grows them. Well, they were yours, but now he cares for them. He won't let anyone else. You used to have a few chairs. Brown leather chairs. A bit beaten up. A stinging pain tore through her head along with the flashing images of a girl standing next to her, with a bubbly laughter as she tried to blow the steam off her mug. The red roses were a bold contrast to her blonde hair that had a single streak of pink at the front. We had gotten them from a flea market, but I loved them. Her voice veered off. It was like she was recounting a dream that had already faded away with the morning light, struggling to keep hold of the warm feeling it had created inside of her, and the vivid image blurring at the edges. Yeah, that's right. Are you alright? You've gone pale. Here, take a seat. Her friend tugged at the edge of her jumper and guided her towards the large wooden table and the mismatched chairs. Marinette leaned her head into her hands and rubbed at her temples, attempting to soothe the leftover ache now throbbing in her mind. I think I remember. You and me? We were drinking tea. You were laughing. Did you have a... She gestured to her hair. Pink there? Daisy chuckled. You dyed it for me. Encouraged me to be bold. So does that mean... Can you remember? I'm trying to. I get slithers, fragments of images, memories along with a sharp pain, but they fade away back into a mist of thought. Does that make sense? Marinette shrugged her shoulders and gestured to the pink creature in front of her. I say this to you, who is what? But I get a memory of when you were human, and then ask if any of this makes sense. The lightness was replaced with a sigh. It's not too bad. I mean, at first, a year ago, but sometimes feels like forever. Being stuck inside here, missing people. Oh, I'm so sorry, Daddy. I wish I could, I don't know, fix it. Marinette sighed. There might be. Don't you dare say it! You know you can't, Daisy. It's not fair. Tiki soared through the air from the other side of the kitchen and stopped between the two of them. But Tiki, if I can help stop this curse, then I want to try. Marinette pleaded and received a genuine look of pity as Tiki spun around to face her. Even if I wanted to, I can't. There are some things you can't speak of. But she remembers some things, Daisy interrupted, like us in the orangery. Really? Well, sort of. It started as
images, but now, I don't know, more like memories. Like just before, I got a sense of the smell of the spiced cherry mixed with a subtle scent of roses and the sound of laughter. But then the pain hits and it begins to fade again. And a fog appears, but the lingering sensation afterwards is getting stronger. Marinette reached into her bag and pulled out the envelope, which is part of the reason why I came. I had a thought. What if there were images, photos, which could give me a clue, but when I looked through them, I noticed there was something different about them. She pulled them out and scattered them along the table. The two creatures froze, staring at the pictures with a sad expression across their faces. "What's wrong?" Marinette muttered with concern, instantly regretting her plan.
Is this what all your photos look like?
Daisy said with a sadness to her voice. Her paw hovered over the image of Luca, who was standing next to Alia and Nino, but his body was leaning in the opposite way. "Yeah, I think so. I had more on my desk, which were similar. How? There seems to be something."
Or someone missing. That should be me there.
A tear dripped onto the photo, creating a distorted sheen across Luca's face. "Oh, I presumed it would have been Kitty. I never thought. I'm so sorry. I will..." Marinette went to move them off the table.
No, it's fine. It's not your fault, Marinette. None of this is,
Tiki said in a soft voice whilst rubbing her head against Dazzy's.
I thought maybe it would be different for him. That he would have a picture.
Dazzy wiped her paw against her eyes.
It's good to see his face again. Thank you for that, Marinette.
A sickening feeling squirmed inside her gut. How many people had this curse affected? She had been so caught up in her own feelings and how it affected her and Kitty. She hadn't thought of who else was caught up in all this. And she still didn't know why. What was it all for?
Marinette?
Tiki floated in front of her, shifting her attention from the photos to her.
It is good that you are remembering parts, but that's all in the past. What is in front of you now? You can't change the past.
But how can I change the present? How can I make all this right again, Tiki? And if the past doesn't matter, then why can't I remember it? Marinette let out a sigh, rubbing at the side of her head, the sudden sensation of leaning against his chest, his large fingers rubbing against her temples as he nuzzled his forehead against the back of her head, breathing in her hair. Adrian. A heat sprang from her heart and filled her cheeks, hoping her companions wouldn't notice, but no such luck.
Another memory?
Dazzy gave her a smirk. Tiki! Where is... Cat bounded through the kitchen door and froze at the image of Marinette sitting at the table. Marinette? What are you doing here? Why didn't anyone... He shifted his questioning look from her to Tiki and then on to Dazzy. Sorry, I came... She felt flustered at the image, which was fading away from her thoughts, but the blush remained in her cheeks. His green eyes returned to her, but there was something hidden behind them. Was it the pain she had caused? I came to say sorry last night and give you these. She grabbed at the box she had placed at the side. Since they are your favourite. His claws went to grab hold of the outstretched box and stroked against hers. The soft fur tickled against her fingers. Oh, you didn't have to. I mean, I understand. Thank you. She couldn't help studying his face, trying to see the man from her mind into the cat face in front of her. He dropped his gaze from hers. But you shouldn't be here. Oh. Okay. I didn't mean to. I will leave.
But you haven't had your tea yet, and we were...
Dazzy interjected.
Dazzy!
Tiki warned. Thank you, Dazzy. Maybe another time. Oh, a pain emitted out of her unlike she had known before. She didn't want to leave, not when she was home. She forced a smile towards Tiki and Dazzy as she made her way past Kitty, who could not look at her. Had she hurt him that much? I really am sorry for running out on you. Kitty. His eyes shot up, landing on hers. What was that you said? She stopped in front of him, arching her neck upwards as he gazed down. Adrian? Did you remember? She rolled her lips between her teeth. Not quite. Dazzy said it, but... She saw a flash of disappointment sweep across his face before he looked down at the box and away from her. That's not my name now. It's Cat. Oh, Kitty. The words tumbled out of her mouth before she could stop them. Anyway. She turned away from him, placing a hand on the door. Oh, why did she feel the urge to lean into him, crave the sensation of his arms wrapped around her? Was it hints of the past that were making her feel like this, or was it the man, Cat, standing in front of her? Tiki's words echoing in her mind. Marinette. Wait. Yes! She spun round a little too fast, making her sway on the spot. He automatically reached his arms out and grabbed hold of her, one hand on her waist and the other on her shoulder, giving the woolly fabric of her jumper a light stroke, whilst a smile that could only be formed from a memory filled his face. Slowly, his hand slid from her shoulder to her neck. I need to ask. She nodded her head. His touch suddenly made forming words hard. The gala? Is anyone going with you? His eyes were searching hers, his hand, claw, touching her cheek. Did he want to attend with her? In public? Would he do that for her? Then she remembered Felix, his words that morning, asking her yet again and not taking no for an answer. Yes, well, no, not really, but... His hands released their grip from her. It's not like that. He took a step back from her, forming a void between them. I understand, he muttered. I don't think you do. This is one of my biggest moments, and I would prefer you standing by my side. But why? Why would you want me there? You barely know me. He stared at his own claws as they hovered out between them, but his eyes widened as she placed hers underneath, her fingers stroking across the underside of his large palms. I'm trying to. Think about it. Her gaze held his, hoping to communicate her feelings that she couldn't yet express. I had better go. When you have an answer, you know where to find me. Her hands dropped from his and headed out the kitchen door, this time not stopping. She had a dress to finish. Thank you for listening to Chapter 9 of Secrets Under the Moon. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you smash that like button. Comment down below what you think of it and what will happen in Chapter 10. And make sure you subscribe so you do not miss out on this series, other series, and other treats and one-shots to come. And I hope you are good, and I will speak to you soon. Okay, bye.